Who wants to buy? Go for it.
Oh, you're driving into the bin.
Fine, Diana.
Oh, look at all these pollen. Ah, this is also the stuff we didn't clean yet from the parking lot ever since we moved here. I think it will maybe make it, maybe not.
Let's not risk it.
Yeah, look at all the mud. Anyway, if anyone wants to buy a Mark for Golf with 50,000 euro worth of mods on it, it's running actually, but the clutch has been flooded, so it needs replacing, but engine and everything are fine. Our dear neighbors underneath have said that we can park it there with the rest of the not usable cars, so for which massive thank you, big shout out. I hope that, well, the brakes should be working. Big brake kit is on it, so he'll be fine. Yeah, very good, he survived. Right now the skies are blue, but it's kind of frustrating because today we had scheduled helicopter rides for the second time, and last night the pilot called us and he said based on the fog I will definitely not be able to take off from Koblenz and come to you before 12. This means we would have to cancel already half the bookings and then maybe take the other half. And aside from that, he said the chances are over 70% that I won't be able to fly at all. But if you tell me just come by and I won't be able to, you still need to, well, pay us for a substantial amount. To which we said, okay, we're going to cancel out the whole thing completely for the second time. So, well, so far our second attempt to do the helicopter rides. So we then did the track walk, which we'll be doing in about our time, just to kind of compensate other people and also give, of course, the money back, but at least we're gonna have something to do at the ring. And yeah, now the skies are blue, which is fantastic and beautiful, but a couple of cities, villages, actually have been flooded today and yesterday because of the amount of rain that has fallen, so we're getting 2021 vibes. Not on such a big scale as back then, but it's been quite a rough year. I mean, I'm not gonna complain for the fact that I cannot do laps, but I think over the last few weeks I've missed out on 50 laps or so that were otherwise booked. It's a first world problem in comparison for people having, of course, their houses flooded, but everyone deserves to have a problem, and that's a YouTuber problem. I'm not gonna tell you about my real problems, but yeah, it's a bit frustrating, of course. The weather is also a bit meh, so feeling a bit meh. Hopefully the track walk is going to be fine and maybe we can still do a couple of laps. In other news, Lucid received new brake pads yesterday. You can probably see it, brand new somewhere over there. New brake fluid, so we can maybe do a lap with it or something. Let's see what else today is gonna bring. Actually, let's do some unboxing. So we have here a steering wheel that is missing because we sent it to SimCube for some maintenance, but look at that. F124 is coming. For that, Novus sent us actually an F1 seat. You can have the honor to unbox it or unwrap it. And aside from that, we also have here a new steering wheel. So let's do some uncutting. I'm gonna cut straight into the seat. I can feel it.
I'm not like you.
Yeah, me like you. Oh yeah, you can do a full nap in it. Slow in, fast out. Nice mounts. Very, very good. Oh!
Ooh, nice box.
That looks sick. Ta 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 ta. Oh yes.
Oof.
We can map all the keys and all the traction controls and everything. Nice. This looks really cool.
Yes, it's really high quality.
So fast forward, arrived at the Nürburgring Boulevard car park. Go for a track walk, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Man. I think everyone is here. Welcome to our track walk. Unfortunately for some, not a track flight, but the weather was not really that favorable. The plan for today is we have a bus outside that we will be boarding in a bit. The idea always is that we stop 2 or 3 different places. What we have done so far this year is we've done the Foxhole to look at the fantastic new curb, the Carousel because it's the most famous place, of course, and Garden because it's also quite nice to see it on foot. Today we are joined by Harry, who used to have one of the world records for the longest drift, not with a bus. He was also one of the first people that I met at the Nürburgring when I came to the Nürburgring 10 years ago. So yeah, that's in general the plan. Aside from that, you all have received a goodie bag from our partner Stipt with some car cleaning products and including the calendars that are half of them you cannot use anymore because we're halfway through the year. So I guess let's board the bus and have some good time. Yay! We love a bit of rain. Nobody cares. Look how many people turned around to look at the guy revving. You're so popular.
So the first thing what we do is, I think we say hi to Gregor. He's the fastest bus driver in the region, of course. In front of us you will see the Nürburgring, the castle. There is a German saying, if you don't see it, it's foggy. If you see it, it's raining. And you see, it's totally right.
So, welcome on to the Nürburgring Nordschleife. I assume majority of you already know the track, of course. Oh, we're cutting corners here. Look at that. Full VIP treatment. We can do whatever we want, pretty much. Welcome on the longest straight of any racetrack in the world. If someone is going to say Le Mans, I'm going to kick you off the bus. So, we of course start. Here we go underneath a very beautiful Pilstein bridge that makes a lot of racing happen and lots of lap time that you shouldn't be doing. We are going through Hohenrhein chicane. If you look on the right, there's actually still old tarmac from 1967, because in the past it was still straight all the way from the Döttinger Höhe. It was straight onto the, well, not GP track, but the part of the track that was back then. But then by 1967 they realized the cars are going too fast, we need to slow them down, let's put a chicane here. Going now to the right, and otherwise you would go straight onto the GP track, and on the right we also have old pit lane. Right now it's being used by the prototypes. On the left we have the GP track, which is kind of boring, at least for me. And now we'll proceed, of course, to the Sabine Schmitz curve. And we start our descent. This is, by the way, also the highest section of the track, the T13 section. It's not the Hohe Acht since 1984. We descend down the Hudsenbach. We can use the 2-kilometer sign as a reference point, and we stay on the outside because we take the wet line, because on the dry, oh no, we have a bus. Yeah, we can take the dry line, we don't care. So basically this bus is running the confidential Michelin tires, the same that you run on the GT3 cars, because if you know, the GT3 cars do not care about the wet line, neither does the bus, because the bus is driving like a bus. The reason why I want to say about the dry and wet line for people who do not have that much experience on track, Nürburgring Nordschleife is one of the most busiest roads or pieces of tarmac in the world. We have here tourist drives, track days, races, prototypes, records. Every day cars are driving and they leave a nice layer of rubber on the track, which is very grippy during the dry, but in the wet it's slippy as ice, and therefore you need to avoid it. And as you can see now also, there are lots of different pieces of tarmac. Sometimes they replace a full section, sometimes they decide to replace just a small part of it. And you can use it to your advantage if you know the track, because whether you sometimes need to stay on the outside for in the wet, sometimes you can just take the inside because the tarmac is new for about 2 years, and after that it becomes slippy again. We proceed to Quiddelbacher Höhe right now, which is one of the most exciting sections when it comes to high-speed driving, because it's all the way flat out, unless you have a very loud car and you want to lift for the microphone on the right, do not hit the decibel meter. We proceed, it's Flugplatz, and it's a 1 steering radius. I'm just looking at the driver, yeah, he's keeping this perfect steering radius, just 1 steering movement, you can take this corner and then you keep it floored towards Schwedenkreuz. Proceeding into Schwedenkreuz, on the right you have an exclamation mark, you can go on the brakes, and 5-kilometer sign as a turning point. Proceeding into Arnberg, it's good that we made a turn and didn't end up on the gravel on the left. The gravel is new, by the way, since this year. And then of course we go to Foxhill, which has been resurfaced as of this year. Very fast section, very high curbs, as you can see on the left and right. Those curbs are also actually higher than they used to be last year, so now you need to be extra careful, whereas in the past you could kind of touch them. Nowadays, better please do not do so, because otherwise you can sponsor a local alignment shop afterwards.
So the curb is still the original one, but now you can see it here on this part where is my twin shoes. It's straight now, and before it was going down, so they make it only a little bit higher, back to the original place. That's it. Yeah. So there is no story about we make it higher that we have to slow down the people, because the guys who doing this, they are not interested in racing. You know, they have no idea. They just make it. This looks stupid, we make it flat, then it is good again, you know what I mean? So, the problem is not for them, the problem is now for us, yeah, more or less. But to be honest, because we discussed also all the race drivers discussing a lot of this, there is no right or wrong, you know? There is really no, it's very easy. If you don't touch it, nothing will happen.
When you see the record laps from the really, really fast cars, with working aero and whatever, They never touch any
Of course,
curve.
because this destroys the aero.
Yeah.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
Here we have Cullen Heart. It was resurfaced a few years ago, but nowadays actually you have enough rubber on the inside, on the right side, that makes it also very slippery. So I prefer, since about last year, to take the wet line here as well. Biff Puff, very fast corner. At the fence on the right, you can start turning to the left curb. With our GT4 race car, we just slightly lift and go on the gas immediately. With lots of street cars, you go on the brakes. So that's like a very big difference. And in the past, you had a very big dip here. But more importantly, on the right, you see like some metal there. There's actually a tunnel that goes underneath the track. And there is a documentary on German television of a guy who used to live under this tunnel in World War II with his family for about 4 weeks, I believe. Proceeding into Verseifen, the slowest corner of the track, very technical. Go on the brake, let go, turn in, and then brake again. And you sacrifice the first curve to then go towards the second corner, so you can go early on the gas towards the right curbstone. And be prepared with lots of real-driven cars. Your car steps out here, so you can have a minor drift. You use the 90 sign on the left as a reference, so you can aim towards that. You stay on the left side, and you can see the white line, which is very nice and straight. And once the line starts going to the left, you actually go to the right. And that's the reference point that I use to start turning, and you proceed towards Breitscheid. The only hard concrete wall on the track, together with T13 of course as well, is a wall that I managed to hit with 120 kilometers per hour. That's when I stopped, because I was exhausted on a race weekend and just forgot to brake and just went straight into it while overtaking a car. But it also showed me that when you have this kind of accidents with a race car and you have a full racing equipment, you can just walk out, the doctor checks on you and you said, oh, you're totally fine, and no problems whatsoever. That's how safe the current race cars are nowadays. Anyway, we start climbing again, because from here all the way to Hohe the track will climb. And funny enough, if you look now, the track kind of goes downhill, it seems, but if you use a GPS positionometer, it will actually show you that you're still climbing. So although visually it looks like you're going downhill, it's actually still climbing. And you're going to here Lauda Links, or Lauda Left, where Niki Lauda crashed, of course, in 1976 during the last German Grand Prix on the Nordschleife. It was not the reason why they stopped doing the Grand Prix on the Nordschleife. It was already before decided that, so it's a myth. And then, of course, in 1984 they built the current GP track, where Ayrton Senna actually won the very first race in Mercedes 190E. Important to stay a very long time on the left, but not with our super confidential tires on our bus. You can also take the dry line. And from here you start climbing and you're going flat out. If you have a modified car, most likely your car will overhit. At least that's for whatever reason happens on my videos. You keep it flat throughout here left. It's a triple left-hander. You can count the curbstones. Here is one. Then later on is going to be the second one that has been actually widened, I think 2 years ago, so sometimes I go on it if you need to do a GP overtake. And then number 3, you go straight to the right, and then you proceed to what I used to call illusion left, because you had no visibility into the left side, but the bushes on the left, they actually managed to cut them. And thanks to the new AI system, the Nürburgring will be maintaining these gardening facilities. They will be cutting those hedges permanently, because the cameras need to look on the track. Then of course we're approaching Mutkurve, which for our international audience translates as the corner of courage, because the question is, how courageous will you be to take it? Will you lift? Will you brake? Will you keep it flat in a slower car? The average corner speed here, depending if the car is well set up and you took it nicely, is about 180 kilometers per hour. Then it's already very good. With yeah, GT3 RS, you can go even towards probably 200. The end of the curve is a nice turning point to the left curb, and then you can run very wide to the right curb, even go close to the barrier if you really want to, because you still have some rumble strips. Although now you can see that they're nicely covered in grass, so not everyone is taking them. So on the left, first of all, you have some nice overhanging trees that hanging over the track, that cover the track, and in the wet, that patch is nicely dry, so you can go a bit faster through here, because it's almost dry, or at least no standing water. And for whatever reason, this corner killed lots of GT2 RSs, because the car decides to go straight when you turn in here on the right. For whatever reason, the Porsches are extra sensitive through this corner. Proceeding through Steilstrecke, and ahead of us, you can see actually a shortcut I think the incline is about 23% incline. In the past they used to test vehicles there to see if the engines would hold up, because you need to have a lots of engine power to do the climb in the 30s and the 40s, and until the 60s you could actually make the choice of going straight through there or take the long detour through the carousel. But then by the 60s the tire technology caught up so much that the cars will be flipping backwards on the Steilstrecke, so a lot of people actually died because of that, and then they closed it and it was not allowed anymore. And now we're of course in the carousel, where we will probably get out. I prefer to stay in the concrete plate. I also have been told that if you go with 2 wheels on the left side, 2 wheels on the right side, it might damage your differential because there's too much different radius. Whatever happens, I just stay here, I look ahead and we go.
2007, during the 24-hour race, they changed some of these plates.
During the race?
During the race, during the 24-hour race to 2007. The light plates, they changed it. It was so warm, they were destroyed, and then yeah.
So we proceed, after our jump out of the carousel, we go towards, well, Hohe we'll proceed with that climb. I still do not know why, but maybe Harry can tell us. Why is there fake grass on the right side? Because that's the only section of the track where there is fake grass. I don't know if one of the architects was loving to play tennis or golf and he decided, let me put something here, because there's definitely a lack of grass on the Nürburgring, so we definitely need to have something fake here.
I still know the time when there was no grass, this artificial grass,
okay.
But I have no idea why it's there. Makes no sense. And especially in wet, it's unbelievably slippery.
Yes. Anyway, on the left we see the gate that is also the end of the shortcut of Steilstrecke, which is not being used anymore. And we are now on the second highest point of the track, the whole arc, because the highest point nowadays is T13 section. And we go towards Hedwigshöhe, which named after the wife of architect Otto Kreutz, not after the owl of Harry Potter, Hedwig, because his wife used to come here and see her husband at work. And then we go, of course, to Wippermann, and will he do it? Will the bus driver take the Wippermann challenge? He's taking the wet line, so that's our excuse. Anyway, we go towards left and we go a bit on the brakes, and since the track is going uphill already, you actually do not need to brake this much here because the gravity will slow you down. And then here the track is going downhill again and you need to brake extra hard, especially if someone decides to form a traffic jam here and you're driving with 2 fast ionic climb ends. You need to go very hard on the brakes because you will slide down. And then you proceed, of course, to the Brunchen, to the so-called YouTube corner. On the left, you then transition to the right, and you can run extra wide and please all the fans or the YouTube people, of course. What should I tell you about here? You can see actually the tarmac transition, and in the wet it's extra slippery because this is the old section and in the past is the new section, all the newer, it's about 3 years old. So braking is very nice, and then you turn in and you lose all the grip on the turn in. And then we go into ice curve, and it's been named like that because it has no grip, like ice, because of the shadows of the trees. Or nowadays on the left side you have a lot of rubber and it's also extra slippery in the wet. To then proceed to Pflanzgarten. So on the right you will see the Marshal Post 169, and that's where you should aim towards. So the FIA fences is a nice reference point because this means that the direction of the cars that's traveling, and then you go towards there as well and you turn left, and actually on the left here now you have new piece of tarmac. And in the wet, in the past you should stay on the outside, and this year you can actually take the inside line because it's brand new and it's not covered in rubber yet. Nice jump! Yay! Proceed towards Pflanzgarten 2. That's where we will do one more stop probably, because you get to see how crazy the elevation changes are. I think before. I think we'll do it here on the top. We'll do it here because that's the most exciting one, because during driving, during racing, you do it flat out and you don't get to appreciate the crazy elevation change through here. So we're just gonna jump out here, have a quick look, and that's going to be our last stop. If you have a loving boyfriend or girlfriend, you can take them to this nice bench over here and watch the cars go by. And that's so far the hidden tip. Usually we would walk downhill towards further down to Belfast, but right now it's very wet and I think everyone wants to just get back on the bus. Right on, we proceed with the last part of our track walk or drive in this case. On the left side you see a fire extinguisher sign. That's a nice turning point to the right curbstone, and depending on the car you can be reaching speeds of around 200 kilometers per hour in through here, 180 or 200. And then it's important to know the track, to put your steering wheel straight so you can go to the left curb and actually already aim to the second left curb while you go past this right curb, because you can use this runoff area very nicely. Stick through the middle, and at the orange barrier or the fence on the right, if you really want to take the risk, you can go on the brake straight towards the pole there, to the AI system, and then you turn in to the right, and at the beginning of the right curb, with most of the cars you can actually go already flat out to the right curb. And then we proceed into Schwalbenschwanz, which means swallow's tail. I tried to look at the map of the Nürburgring, because the reason why they named this corner so much is when you look at it from up the sky, it should represent a swallow's tail. I cannot see swallow's tail in here, so it maybe looks like a worm or a drunk caterpillar, but definitely not swallow. Anyway, we go into the mini carousel. Unlike the big carousel, we do not take the mini carousel, but with a car you go close to the left curbstone, and then on the right you already see a small pavilion which has been built for the 24 hours of Nürburgring. So on the left side you go, tap gently on the brakes, turn into the right to the right curbstone, you enter Galgenkopf, and on the left there's actually a small bump that you can see up close with slow motion. Cars actually do take off slightly towards the barrier 186 and then turn into the right. In the Middle Ages they used to hang people here, that's the literal translation, Galgenkopf, the gallows. And then you proceed, of course, again to the main straight, where you can take quite some good rest, because with a race car it takes around 30 seconds to complete under going flat. Oh yeah, look at that, fantastic, the RS5 is going home. Yeah, we see a bit of fog. I hope tomorrow the track will be open in time, because that fog ruined our helicopter flights today already, unfortunately. If you're doing any kind of racing or track days, you can stay on the left, because you will reduce the drag from the wind, because you will not have any head-on wind, or at least not as much as you would have on the middle of the track. And otherwise, if you're doing public sessions after the gantry, slow down to 120 or so, let the car cool down, unless there's a traffic jam, of course, and then you get off the track. As of I believe 2 weeks, we have a new traffic system, so when you get off here you can actually take the left lane and continue to get off the track immediately, or take the right lane to go over the car park, of course, or proceed straight. Well, this concludes our track walk. I hope you guys enjoyed, regardless of the weather. Hope you learned something, hope you had something nice, some nice pictures, some videos, of course also the goodie bags from our partner. And we're looking forward to seeing you also back with one of our other upcoming events through 3MD and also Vulcan Alpha. And of course also the Nürburgring tomorrow during public sessions or racing. In 2 weeks is 24 hours of Nürburgring that I will be driving together with 120 cars, I think, this year. So it's going to be spectacular. Very much looking forward to that. Thank you for coming, and hope to see you next time. And thank you again. Round of applause to Harry and our lovely driver, Gregor, for fantastic service. Yes, beautiful, beautiful.